G'day guys, I'm Raganuck. Today we're going to talk about Hunter in Vanilla, or WoW Classic. Hunter is a very fun class. It's probably one of the easiest ones to level once you have your pet. However, before getting your pet between level 1 and 10, it can be a bit tricky. But if you watch this guide, I'll tell you everything you need to know to survive to level 10 and how to get your pet and get your pet to stay with you. I'll teach you the basics of how to tame the pet, how to feed it, what kind of food to feed it, and also what talent points, how to play in combat, all these little basic tips like that. So if you've never played Hunter in Vanilla before, I 100% recommend you watch this guide. First, we'll talk about races. What is the best race to choose for Hunter? Well, there's 5 races all up. There's 3 on Horde, 2 on Alliance. Let's start with the Horde ones. Let's start with Tauren. Tauren's probably the least advisable race for a hunter, as they don't have the kind of racial abilities that benefit them as well as the other 2 Horde races. So let's talk about their abilities. They have Stomp, which is an AoE stun at melee range, right, within 8 yards. Their maximum health is increased. They've got 15 points extra in Herbalism, which can be really handy if you want to herb. And resistance to nature damage can be very handy as well, especially being a hunter. So Tauren actually aren't that bad of a choice. You do get the increased health. You do get the AoE stun and increase herbalism too if you want to be a herbalist. So not a bad pick at all. If you want a PvP, I recommend going Orc as you get the stun resistance. You also get the 5% extra pet damage bonus. So if you want to be a Beastmaster and specialize in that, especially in PvP environments, very, very handy. You do get the skill of Axe increase, so if you're going to use Axe as your melee weapon, Orc's a good pick for that. And you got the Enrage ability, which increases the attack power, which does benefit hunters as well. The most popular pick on Horde would probably be Troll, because they get Berserk, super good racial, and they've also got increased regen, which is something every class can benefit from. They've got damage increase versus beasts, which is super handy if you want to go into skinning. You being able to kill beasts faster equals more skins, right? And also more XP. For times when you just simply want to farm beasts for XP instead of quests. And you also get the throwing and bow weapon skills increase. So whether you use a crossbow or a bow or even a throwing weapon if you want to do that, Troll's a really, really good pick for that, as they have a much better hit chance, especially at max level. Next, let's talk about Alliance. So Dwarf's probably the race that's lesser picked when it comes to hunters. They do have a stone form, which dispels diseases and curses and bleeds and things, which is very, very nice, especially in PvP. Skills with guns increased. The only problem with that is there's no best in slot gun weapon for hunters. They're all bows and crossbows. Just be aware of that. However, if you still want to play Dwarf, don't let that stop you. They do get the resistance to frost, which makes them really good against frost mages, for example. You have a higher chance of resisting their slows. And you also get the added bonus of treasure finding. So those little treasure chests in the world, they'll light up on your map, which will be very nice. Next, we've got Night Elf. So Night Elf's probably the one I would pick if I were playing Alliance. If you wanted to really have a real nice connection with nature or whatever, you do get all that with Night Elves. They are really cool. They are very majestic. Probably my favorite Alliance race. Their racials are very, very cool. They fade into the shadows, which is your shadow meld ability. So if you want to just stealth and eat your food or something like that, you can do that as a Night Elf. Your dodge chance is also increased, and that buffs really well with Aspect of the Monkey, which is an 8% dodge buff. You also get Wisp Form while you're dead, which increases your movement speed by 50% while you're running back to your body, which can be super handy if the graveyard's a long way away. And you got the resistance to nature damage, just like the Taurens do. Again, very handy against beasts and other nature users like druids. Alright, so if I were to pick 2 out of these, Night Elf would probably be my top pick for Alliance, and Troll would be my top pick for Horde. If I was PvPing on Horde, I think the Orc would probably be the better pick over Troll. For those who have played the current retail game as a Hunter, there are some really major differences between Vanilla Hunter and Hunter in retail. For example, you have Mana instead of Energy or Focus. You also got Auto Shoot as an ability, so you can't simply right click and Auto Shoot, it'll try and auto melee them. So make sure you have Auto Shoot on your bar, just like you have Shoot for Wands. You've also got basically a dead zone. So as soon as your enemy is in melee range like here, you'll have to use melee abilities, as they must be 8 yards or further away for you to shoot them. So here we use Raptor Strike, and that will use your melee weapon, and you can auto attack in between the Raptor Strikes. Hunters in Classic also need ammo to use their ranged weapons. So you notice in my character screen, we've got a bow here, and there's another slot next to it called Rough Arrow. So these are arrows you can purchase from a vendor, and they stack up to 200. However, if you run to 0 arrows, you will not be able to use your bow, and you'll be forced to use your melee weapon until you purchase more arrows. You'll notice that you will start with a bag called Light Quiver. It gives you a bonus of increasing your ranged attack speed by 10%, which is always nice. And you can stack your arrows or gun ammunition in here. Hunters also wear leather, so whenever choosing a quest reward, make sure you choose the leather option and not the cloth option, because this will give you a lot more armor. It will help you survive in the wild. You'll notice in the bottom left that your skill in bows and daggers will get higher and higher as you use them. These basically increase the hit chance that you have on the target, so if you're finding you're missing a lot with a certain weapon, you might just need to level it up a bit more. If you press the K key, it'll open up your weapon skills, and you'll see your bows, daggers, defense, unarmed, and whatever other weapon skills you train later on. To get these as high as possible, and that way you'll miss less often, each time you'll level up, the cap of the skills will increase by 5 per level, up to a maximum of 300 at level 60. If you have a racial ability that increases your bow skill by 5, for example, that will allow you to get to 305 at max level, which is why Troll is a popular pick for hunters. You'll also notice you don't start with a pet as a hunter in vanilla. Eventually you'll level up enough and get a quest to tame one, and you'll need special food to keep it fed and happy, which I'll cover a bit later on. However, without a pet, you can still effectively use your bow. Just simply stand back as far as you can, use auto shot, and you'll get the health quite low before the target reaches you, and then you can simply finish it off with auto attacks and raptor strike. You might find after combat you need to sit and eat, but if you're a night elf, if you eat and then hit shadow meld, you can actually eat while staying invisible. That way if there's predators around, or enemies, or even enemy players, no one's going to see you unless they're right on top of you, making night elves much easier to stay safe out of combat. One other thing I should mention about the night elf racial shadow meld is it's a little bit different to the way it works in retail WoW. Basically it's only got a 10-second cooldown, however you cannot use it in combat, and it also benefits rogues and druids with their stealth abilities, making it more difficult for them to be detected. One other downside to vanilla is the graveyards are much further away from your dead body. If you're a night elf, you can move much faster, making it very handy if you die. You'll be able to res about 50% faster than any other race that dies around you. When you're just starting out as a low-level hunter, it's worth checking out the boa vendor. Here you can buy more quiver bags. This one, however, is 8 slot, which is bigger than your 6 slot one. The bonus on it is still the same though. You can buy more ammo here, like rough arrows. You can even buy a better bow if you can afford the gold. If you want to buy higher level items, you just must level up to the required level before you can buy them. For example, sharp arrows deal more damage, but they require level 10. They're also more expensive. As you level up, even as low as level 1 or 2, you'll get a quest that is specifically for hunters. This will lead you to your hunter trainer. It's worth checking out the hunter trainer, as that's how you learn your new spells. And she even gives you quests sometimes to do hunter specific quests. For example, the first one she'll give you is to obtain your pet. You'll find that once you're at level 3, you can get the track beast ability. All this does is highlight beasts on your map, making them easier to find. You don't have to get this ability if you don't think you'll need it. But at level 4, definitely worth coming back to the trainer, as she'll teach you 2 new spells. A great profession to level as a hunter is skinning and leatherworking. And the Night Elf starting zone is a beautiful place to do it. As you can see, there are dead corpses everywhere because the Night Elf zone is full of beasts. So if you want to get your skinning up to 50 or higher, so you're ready for the next higher level zones, this is a great place to come back and do it, as most people in this area won't even have the skinning profession to skin what they kill. One thing you'll notice as Hunter is you'll get different aspects and different stings. In the Beast Mastery part of your spellbook, you'll get aspects, like Aspect of the Monkey. At low level, this is the first one you get. However, just be aware you can only have one active at a time. And with the stings, like Serpent Sting, again, you can only have one active at a time. So just be aware of this. Serpent Sting is a little bit different to the way it works in retail. For example, it's literally just a dot. There is no initial damage, so there's no point in spamming it. For example, I'll attack this boar, and I'll cast my auto shot first. After the auto shot's gone off, I'll then cast my Serpent Sting, but I won't cast it again until the dot has worn off the target. You'll notice you won't have much bag space in the beginning, but every now and then you'll be lucky enough to get a bag drop off a mob. But you got to make sure you equip it, you can simply drag and drop it into an empty bag slot, or replace it with another bag if it's got more slots. One of the hardest parts to leveling as a hunter is the first 10 levels you have no pet, so you have to get really good at surviving. If you find yourself dying a lot, you might just need some more armor. You can do this by getting armor potions with alchemy, or you can also buy some gear from the leather armor merchant. It is a little bit pricey, but if you can't afford everything, just try and fill the slots that are empty. For example here, I'll get my braces, and my boots also have no armor, so I'll buy some boots. And that'll increase my armor quite significantly, making it a lot easier for me to survive while questing. At level 10 you'll get your first talent point, which you can access by pressing the N key and selecting which desired talent. I'll go over which talents to pick later if you prefer to follow my method. You also get the pet taming quest. So this is basically the quest that will tell you how to tame pets, and you can go and tame your very first pet, which is extremely exciting, especially after grinding all the way to level 10 without one. Doing this quest is a little tricky, and I will guide you through it, but just be aware it may take a few attempts. Once you hit level 10, go to the trainer and you'll also learn Aspect of the Hawk. This is the aspect you'll have on most of the time, as it increases your ranged attack power by 20. And remember that only one aspect can be at a time. And remember, when you die, the aspect won't be up there, you'll have to put it back on, so make sure you're not running around without an aspect on. You'll also get the rank 2 of Serpent Sting, which makes a Serpent Sting about double the damage. And same with Raptor Strike, so make sure you put those on your bars so you can do more damage with your dot and melee abilities. For your hunter taming quest, you'll need to tame a webwood lurker if you're a night elf. Other races will probably have different pets to tame, but it's basically these are the little green spiders that hang around the forest. Unfortunately someone's come through and killed them all here, so I can't show you just yet. But in your bag you have a taming stick, or taming rod, sorry. And this is what you use to tame the pet. Alrighty, I finally found a live webwood lurker. I'm going to approach it slowly, and we're going to use our taming rod and see what happens. I've only got 3 charges of this. So you click on it. Make sure you've got a fair bit of armor on, because you will take a fair beating here. Basically just stand still and channel. And there we go. There's our spider pet. Now to lure it, all you got to do is tell it to stay, and then to follow you. And it should follow you. And once you're at the trainer, you simply hand in the quest. The trainer will be pretty happy with you, and you'll eventually get the next quest. Usually he'll give you more than one taming quest, so just do the same process as I showed you with the spider to tame the other beasts, and then eventually you'll get the tame as a reward. Before you can tame the next beast, you must dismiss your existing one, which will then make it attack you. You simply kill it and begin taming the next one. In my case, we got to tame the Night Saber Stalker. So the same process as before. I simply walk up and start channeling. Make sure he doesn't attack you first. And we channel all the way down, and if it's successful, it should become our pet. And there we go. Now to stop him from wandering, simply hit stay and hit follow. And he should be able to follow you all the way back to the trainer now. On the 3rd taming quest, he'll teach you to tame a bird, or a creature from the sky, as he says. And as a reward, he will then tell you how to tame a pet with your choosing, how to call and dismiss the pet as we wish. This pet will also be in combat, it'll level up with XP, it'll face the challenges that we face. Very, very exciting stuff, guys. Same as we did before, guys. Simply approach the bird, right click your taming stick. This bird is a higher level, so he's going to do much more damage to me, but I'm sure I can outlive the channeling. Just make sure you stand completely still, and there we go. Tell it to stay, and then follow. Once you've handed in the quest, you'll get the abilities Tame Beast, Call Pet, and Dismiss Pet. Once you've tamed your new pet, you'll need to go to Darnassus or wherever the quest decides to take you, and you'll talk to another hunter trainer, which will teach you how to feed your pet and revive your pet, which are very important. So make sure you do this as soon as you train your first pet. One thing you should note when dismissing your pet is it will reduce its happiness by 50. Happiness is something that exists in vanilla WoW that doesn't really exist in the retail version. Happiness is something that's earned by spending time with your pet, feeding it its favorite food, and of course leveling your pet. Just be aware of this: the happier your pet, the more reliable and stronger the pet will be in combat. Now, deciding on your first pet is entirely up to you. If you want to choose a cat, you can. Cats have the ability of stealth. You could choose a bird, which approach target a little bit faster, or you could choose a spider, which has traps, which are very good at stopping people coming towards you. Really personal preference. Just be aware that every type of beast will have a different type of ability, and you can research this yourself online. As for myself, I'm going to tame a spider, just because I like their trap ability, and they're pretty easy to train. So this web around me right now is pretty much what they do to your enemies, trapping them, which is very good against melee units, also very effective in PvP against melee if you like to kite as a hunter. And that did not work. Let's try again. So your armor is reduced by 100% when you focus taming. And if you lose the beast's attention, the taming process will fail. Once tamed, the beast will be very unhappy and disloyal. Try feeding the pet immediately to make it happy. And I honestly have no idea what spiders eat. But of course I don't have the feed ability, so I can't really feed it anything anyway. All we can do now is go to Darnassus and learn how to feed our pet. If you want to know how happy your pet is, simply hover over the icon next to your pet. Right now my pet is unhappy because I've literally just tamed it, and as you can see, he only does 75% of normal damage. I'm assuming that when he's not happy but not sad, he does normal damage, and when he is happy, he probably does 125% or something like that. One other thing you should pay attention to is the pet you tame is the pet's level that you tamed it at. So as my spider is level 6, even though I'm level 10. However, if I tame something that was higher level, like level 7, 8, 9 or 10, it would be a lot harder for me, but if I succeeded, that would start at a higher level. To level your pet up, you simply use it more in combat, keep it well fed and happy, and it'll level up and catch up to you eventually. Now once arrived in your capital city, you may not know exactly where your hunter trainer is. Simply find a guard, talk to them, click on class trainer, and then select your class, which is hunter, and they'll highlight them on the map. As you can see, it's just north of the city, and that's where we'll head. After handing the quest in to the hunter trainer, you should have some more pet abilities in your Beast Mastery tab in your spellbook. You should have Feed Pet, which feeds the selected pet. Feeding your pet increases happiness. Using food close to the pet's level will have a better result. And you've also got Revive Pet, returning to life with 15% of its health. So now if your pet dies, no big deal, you simply just revive the pet. Now for those who don't know, the spider doesn't really like eggs or meat. What it does like is spider legs. Spiders are weird, man. If you're worried that you've tamed the wrong pet and changed your mind and want to use a different one, you can simply visit the stable master. Here you can put your pet here, and you can purchase more slots as well, and that way you can tame more pets. In this case, my pet has suddenly ran away, which will happen time to time if your pet is unhappy for too long. That's why the taming ability recommends you feed the pet immediately. Otherwise, if it stays too unhappy for too long, it will run away and abandon you. My advice is, if you wanted to tame something like a spider, farm a lot of spider legs first, as that's something they enjoy eating, and they give you 35 happiness per tick of eating the food. I've tamed another spider and I've got 2 small spider legs, so to feed the pet, I simply right click on Feed Pet and click on the spider legs. That'll feed him, and you can see his happiness in the combat log increasing. As soon as the effect wears off, feed him again. You want to put his unhappiness, well, try and get rid of that as soon as you can, otherwise your pet will eventually run away. Look at that, here's content, which causes 100% of normal damage, gaining loyalty. Now if we feed him again, let's give him another small spider leg. We'll see if he gets really happy. And there we go, he's happy. Causes 125% of normal damage, gaining loyalty. There you go, so his chance of running away now is a lot less likely as long as I keep him from content to happy. Once you have your pet, you should definitely visit the pet trainer. He'll train you new abilities for your pets, like great stamina, neutral armor, growl, taunt, etc. Once you have learned some abilities from the pet trainer, to access them, you go into your general tab of your spellbook, click on beast training, and click on your pet, and you can train it different abilities. For example, some require level 10, and they'll have different ranks of the spells. Because my pet is only level 6, I'll teach him growl, rank 1. They'll allow him to taunt targets to attack him instead of me. This will also increase his armor, and this increases stamina or health. As you can see, we get different amount of training points. As you level up your pet, you get more and more training points. For now, I'll teach him growl, and then the next training point I'll probably give him some more armor. Alrighty guys, with all that being said, the final part of the guide just goes over the talents, and you can pretty much select whichever talent you want while you're leveling. However, towards the end game, the most important talent you probably want is the True Shot Aura. This is the talent that gets you invited into groups like raid groups, because it increases the attack power of the party members within 45 yards by 50, which buffs pretty much all other hunters and all melee attackers. I'll go over some of the talents here that really make leveling a lot easier. The first one is Improved Aspect of the Hawk. This is basically a 5% chance of increasing your attack speed by 30% for 12 seconds. Now when this procs, the class gets very, very fun. And obviously once you've got 5 points in here, it procs much more often than if you only had like 1 point or 2 points. This one's also very handy as well, increasing your health of your pets by 15%. This will help them last longer in battles, especially while questing against higher level opponents. You also want this one to increase your pet's damage done. Now if you're an orc, you get even more damage done by your pet as you get the 5% bonus, so this is very handy. This increases the critical strike chance of your pets as well, so we'll put 2 points in there just to give it more crit. We then dump 5 points in here to reduce the minor cost of your shots and stings. Put 2 points in here, which increases the attack power bonus with your Hunter's Mark spell, so make sure you put your Hunter's Mark spell up every time you attack. And this one increases the critical strike chance with ranged weapons by 5%, so like bows and guns, thrown crossbows, etc. This is an aim shot ability and increases the range damage by 70. This one increases the range of your ranged weapons by 6 yards, so you can shoot from further away. Very handy while questing, especially if the target keeps trying to attack you. It's got more of a distance to run. And you can also stand further back in groups. Mortal Shots, which increases the weapon critical strike damage bonus by 30%, meaning when you crit, this increases that crit bonus damage by 30%. Scatter Shot, basically this is like a CC that lasts for 4 seconds. It disorients the targets for 4 seconds, which is really handy in trash and also very nice in PvP to have as well. Barrage is a very fun ability, increases the damage done by your multi-shot and volley spells by 15%. So if you love the AoE, definitely have 3 points in this one. Ranged Weapon Specialization increases the damage you deal with ranged weapons by 5%. And here's the True Shot Aura, which is basically your party buff that lasts for 30 minutes that I mentioned before. Last but not least is the Monster Slaying. Now you probably want to put talents in here at low levels as well, just because it increases your damage against beasts, giants, dragonkins by 3%, and also increases the crit by 3% against beasts, giants, and dragon king. So very handy to have, since you'll be fighting a lot of beasts, and every now and then you'll come across giants and dragonkin as well. Thanks for watching my Hunter Beginner Guide. That's pretty much everything you need to know to succeed on your journey to max level. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below and I'll reply with an answer ASAP. If you enjoyed this guide, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you want me to continue making guides like this. Thanks guys, and remember, take good care of your pet.